Hey guys, my name is Moon and welcome back for more Higurashi One Day Cry Chapter 3 Tatarigoroshi. So last time it was pretty much the same, I guess. Keiichi doing what he can for Satoko again, right? And then when Satoko came to school last time, it was pretty normal, right? And then they were eating, I suppose, lunch. And then Keiichi touched her head and yeah, she got triggered and people kept shouting. She kept crying. And yeah, it was kind of weird. And then Keiichi later, he was like thinking what he would do, right? And he planned to do something bad to the uncle now. So let's see if he's gonna do it today, or in this episode, I mean, or who knows when. But let us load it. Let's go. Continue. Mion and the others, having to set up for Watanagashi festival or something, invited me along, but I refused. Of course I did. How could they be taking it easy and setting up for a festival in this situation? So I guess Keiichi's not gonna go in this chapter, so it's Watanagashi, right? He's just gonna go and do his thing, I suppose. Mion had a lot of nerve. The first thing I did when I got back home was take a shower. Not because I wanted to wash off the sweat, it was because I wanted to be even calmer. I already understood this, but killing that man would be so easy. The really hard thing would be not getting arrested for it, so we could get our peaceful days back. As I thought about it, I realized it wasn't easy. Japan's police force have the highest arrest rate in the world. I would need to deceitfully pull off the perfect crime, and it couldn't be a half-hearted attempt. Still, it wasn't 100%. Even the best police force in the world couldn't have a 100% arrest rate. I've read a lot of articles on trials with people brought up on false charges. At court, they considered whether the charges are false or not, but figuring out the real criminal is entirely out of scope. And that meant perfect crimes did not exist. In fact, perfect crimes were sort of like works of art. They could even be respected and revered. You just had to look at the inundation of mystery novels everywhere throughout the history. They dealt with all sorts of difficult to solve incidents involving secret rooms and alibis and stuff, but they all wanted to show one thing. They wanted to show the beauty of a perfect crime. There was something divine in the flawlessness of the word perfect. Yes, perfect crimes were skills of the gods. And in that sense, the serial freak deaths they were calling the curse of Oyashiro-sama, I understood. They must have been the works of gods. Each one appeared to have been resolved, but they couldn't stop it from happening every year. Yeah, skills belonging only to gods, those are the perfect crimes. And I would be setting up my own crime before Oyashiro-sama's series of perfect crimes, 4 years running. If I were to put it boldly, it was challenging a god. Foolhardiness would be needed to make the decision, but I needed to be calm, cool, colder than ice to put that plan together. Kill him like a flame, but as systematic as ice. Starting now, I need to retain both of those ideas within me. Modeling my crime after a mystery novel wasn't actually a bad thing to focus on. Sometimes kidnappings involving disturbing original methods that made it into the newspaper were used as basis for novels after the person was arrested, stuff like that made it into the news. Day and night for a very long time, mystery novel authors polished and refined their most fantastic artistic crimes. Imitating that could be a shortcut to planning the perfect crime in a short period of time. Of course, I haven't read enough mystery novels to act all high and mighty about them. The one who really liked mystery novels was my mom. She'd read every well-known mystery novel from overseas, from past and present. Every time she watched mystery shows, she would always criticize them as having cheap tricks or being poorly thought out. I wonder what the perfect crime would mean to her.
これまでの推理小説の中で母さんが一番よくできたと思った完全犯罪？
うん。母さんって結構たくさん推理小説を読んでるでしょ。そういうの詳しいかなって思って。
So now he's asking his mom about mystery novels.
それを読むから楽しいのよ。初めからトリックを教えちゃったら楽しみがなくなっちゃうわ。
It wasn't like I was asking for my own amusement. She was deflecting the question, so I'd somehow butter her up first and draw out an answer.
そうね。よくできた推理小説。結構どれもこれもいろんな魅力があって、どれが面白かったとは言いにくいけど、強いてあげれば。
母さんの好きな小説のタイトルが知りたいんじゃないよ。母さんが一番舌を巻いた完全トリックが知りたいんだよ。
本当に完全なトリックだったら名探偵に解く余地がないじゃない。
I mean, that was true. Then there'd be no point.
推理小説は解ける謎をいかに解くかの過程を楽しむものよ。解けない謎だったらそれは推理小説の題材になり得ないわね。
I mean, yes.
そっか。そりゃそうだよな。主人公に解けなかったらお話として成立しないもんな。
Was I being too simplistic? A mystery novel was basically a game. They were written so that you can get to the goal so that you could solve them. But I couldn't use something so optimistic. It needed to be all and all of tricks so that we could, without a doubt, return to our old lives.
ということはケイチ、真の完全犯罪は物語にすらならないというのがわかるかしら？
Mom looked at me intellectually and grinned impishly. I'd never gotten to read it, but apparently one time, a long time ago, my mom had written her own mystery novel, submitted it for some mystery novel award. Apparently she was really into it.
物語にならないってどういう意味？
ケイチ、物語の最低構成要素は？
起承転結。
正解。特に肝心なのは当たり前だけど、木に当たる部分よ。スタートの木がなかったらそもそも物語は始まらない。
そりゃそうだよ。何も起こらなかったら何も始まらない。
そう。何も起こらないから事件にもならない。探偵も呼ばれないから推理もない。推理がないなら解決もない。つまりこれが究極の完全犯罪。
ちょっと待って。もう一度説明してくれるかな？
My mom just told me something absurd. She was saying it so smoothly too, so I kind of tuned her out, but she said something extremely important just now.
そんな難しい話じゃないわよ。そもそも事件が発覚しなければいいだけの話。
そもそも発覚しない事件。
つまり、例えばよ。誰も立ち入らない深い森の奥でおじいさんが一人暮らしをしているとする。
うん。
そのおじいさんがある日斧で殺されました。ちなみに犯人はじゃあおじいさんの息子ね。おじいさんの家に来て一緒にお酒を飲んでいたんだけど、ちょっと喧嘩になって殺してしまった。
What an extremely cheap plot. It was an impulsive crime without a bit of planning. It was a pretty far from a perfect crime.
でもケイチ、そこはとてもとても深い森の中の一軒家なの。普段は絶対に誰も訪れない深い山奥の深い い森の中。さて、殺した息子は町に帰ってきてこう言うの。おじいさんは元気だったって。
それのどこが完全犯罪なの？
ケイイチ。この事件はね、おじいさんが殺されているのが見つかって初めて木を迎えるのよ。もしもこの後誰もおじいさんの家を訪れなかったら、永久に木は訪れない。
The beginning would never occur.
だからつまり物語は始まらない。事件が発覚しないから探偵も呼ばれない。そもそも誰も不審に思わないから謎も起こらない。おじいさんは今日も一人でのんびり森の奥で暮らしているんだろうね。で、お空におじいさんの顔が浮かんで、ジエンド。どう？こんな感じで。
すごいじゃないか。それちゃんとしたトリックだよ。
でも娯楽小説にはならないわね。推理小説は所詮娯楽書。完全犯罪の指南書にはなり得ないんだから。
I was trying hard to talk cheerfully to fool her, but inside I was excited. Special tools, strange geography, mysterious drugs, traps involving huge sums of cash, none of them were needed for perfect crimes. The important thing was there wasn't a beginning. As long as the incident didn't come to light, it would be fine. Speaking broadly, if I could kill him without anyone finding out, and dispose of the corpse somewhere no one could find, it would basically already be a perfect crime. Of course, if someone up and vanished one day, all of a sudden, people would get suspicious. But that didn't apply to this man. Yeah, because he's trash basically, right? And Mian said he's a parasite, so if he's gone, no one will actually look for him. Last year after their aunt died, he ran away from the village in fear of Oyashiro-sama. When the night of Tatarigoroshi came around again, everyone would have to think that he ran away in fear again. I mean, he had been living with a lover of his in town. No matter what it felt like, he vanished. No one would be suspicious. People hated him after all. No one would care where he went if he disappeared. When I thought about it like that, it got easier and easier to imagine killing him. There was no point in thinking inside my house anymore. I left getting my bike out of the garage. For now, it didn't matter where I was going. I just rode through the wind, trying to calm my excitement by feeling the cool air on my body. Where I'd kill him, how would I do it, what time, and how to dispose of the corpse. If I just had those 4 things, I could get a good plan going. I was so surprised at how little there was to decide that I shivered. I'd have been completely prepared to build this humongous plan over a really long period of time. But if I could just get these little things in order, I could put it into motion. Today was Saturday. I would have to kill him on the night of the Tatarigoroshi. So as long as I was standing in for Oyashiro-sama, I only had 24 hours remaining. Jesus, man. Satsuko, just hang on for 24 more hours. I can't even imagine having to suffer through even more. But please, hold out for a little longer. I know you can't even last another second, I know that. But please, just hold out. Your Nini will save you for sure. Outside, it was still early enough for the cicadas to be crying. Early afternoon? Evening was still a long way off. But I think though, yeah. Could Keiichi like pull this, what do you call this? Pull this through? Could he do it, I mean? Could he actually like do it when he's actually, for example, in front of him, right? Or will he like back out and say, I can't do this? But maybe he can. It sounds like he can, right? It sounds like he's super determined, I mean. Wait, what? I looked at the sky at some point. It hadn't gotten cloudy. I was like, what is that music? Come to think of it, as I left the house, I heard on the TV that the weather forecast was calling for a chance of rain on Sunday. The sky was a color of lead. If I heard a little bit of thunder, I'd definitely have expected a sudden evening shower. My first destination was school. Before explaining why I was going there, I needed to explain what method for killing the man I had decided upon. I decided that the most suitable death that no one I needed to give him was the same as last year's curse. Oh, he's gonna beat him up just like what happened to the wife, right? The same as the punishment their aunt had received, being beaten to death. Wouldn't beating him to death be somewhat unreliable? You may think that stabbing him with a blade would be more reliable. But this was something I had chosen after a lot of thought. You just needed to think realistically. The law, it prohibited carrying any blades longer than 10 centimeters, I think. So the blades available to me, even the longest one, were still limited to things shorter than a ruler. You can probably understand how tricky it would be with such a short reach to go up against an opponent that might fight back. In that case, a weapon with more reach, like a staff, would be more advantageous. It might not be quite as inherently lethal, but since you could just keep hitting the guy until you kill him, the end result was the same. So what is a staff like a deadly weapon, terrifyingly powerful and also eminently portable? By this point, you should immediately think of a metal baseball bat. I don't need to explain how terrifying a metal baseball bat can be as a weapon. Of a special note is the fact that you can carry one around in broad daylight and not be thought of as suspicious. True though, right? I mean, because it's just a baseball bat, people are gonna think, oh, he's gonna play baseball today. Just those 2 points would have been enough to choose a metal bat for my weapon. But there was one more reason for choosing a baseball bat in particular. I will speak about it later. After school that Saturday, my classmates were still having fun playing in the schoolyard. I could show up there and it would be the same as always, so nobody will think I'm suspicious. Getting my hands on a weapon without looking suspicious was actually the factor I couldn't ignore. I didn't normally play baseball, so if I went to a sports store looking for a baseball bat, it would definitely be suspicious. I can't let there be a beginning to the story, so I needed to be really careful even about that. That left school. At a location which my appearance wouldn't be suspicious, I would acquire the weapon. I checked inside the classroom through the window, but of course there was nobody there. The only students who would stay in there were me and the others when doing club activities. Without us, the classroom after school was just an empty, unused room. Without glancing around nervously, as if I'd just gone to get something I'd forgotten, I casually went into the entrance. It looked like the teacher was busy with the paperwork in the teacher's lounge. I didn't see her in the hallway. Naturally, yet quickly as a shadow, I entered the classroom. The empty room was full of strange, stagnant air that you couldn't feel normally. An empty classroom with nobody here. Maybe while no one was around, the desks creep about of their own accord, licking the floors clean of dirt. If I suddenly stepped into a place like that, would the desk in their surprise fly at me, crush my bones, and eat me alive?
Baka-bakashi.
I felt regret at wasting valuable thinking time on stupid decisions. The students' lockers were all lined up in the back of the classroom. Okay, sorry. I accidentally click, right click. Wait, how do you go back? Okay, there. The one I was looking for wasn't my own. It was a forbidden locker. One I had accidentally discovered one day.
あった。北条。間違いない。
If one person has one locker, then why would only Satoko have two? Oh, because the other one is for Satoshi, right? I'd made a fuss about it once. After that, I learned it was for Satoshi's locker and he had the same last name as her. But of course, even though it was a locker for a student no longer here, looking inside, it was still a shameless act. But one time, I let my curiosity get the better of me and took a peek inside. At the time, I hadn't been interested, so until now, I'd forgotten what had been in it. But now that I had, dare I say it, awakened. I remembered the thing that had been there. Scrape. I opened the locker and the stench of mold and sweat wafted out like a gym storehouse that hadn't been cleaned in weeks. I can know that smell, man. That's bad. My face puckered up to the stench, but I looked for it. Yes. Satoshi was on coach's basketball team or baseball team. Inside the locker was a Hinamizawa fighter's uniform and the one Satoshi used, the metal bat. Yes, this was the reason I wanted to choose this bat. This murder would be carried out by me, but this wasn't originally my role, it was Satoshi's. But I would stand in for him and call myself Satoko's Nini. It was one of the rules for standing in for him. I reached for the metal bat and grasped it firmly. It was light, and yet its tip had enough heft in it, enough to easily imagine the horror if I brought it down with all my might. Satoshi, I'll give you one last chance to save your sister. Lend me your strength. You're a coward, but I will stand in for you. So if you still care even a little about her, you will lend me your strength. There is no more suitable weapon in the world for putting that man to death than your bat. Now I just needed to figure out where to hide it. Tomorrow, before the act, I would just stop by the school and grab it. Because I couldn't ignore the possibility someone would see me bringing it home and thinking it was strange. But I left it there. Wouldn't be a problem, or if I left it there. Plus, tomorrow was Sunday. Not only that, it was a day of the biggest festival in the whole village. Nobody would be coming to school. I left out the entrance and went over to the construction vehicle parked nearby. We'd been warned by our teacher not to touch it just for laughs, so none of the kids would come near the vehicle either. They wouldn't because if she found out they touched it, they'd be in huge trouble. I quietly hid it in the shadow of the vehicle. The chances of someone operating the vehicle tomorrow were slim to none, because tomorrow was Sunday. Government workers had a day off, and from what my classmates had said, the thing had been left here for years now. Machines that haven't been moved in years, you can just suddenly start them up again. So I was almost definitely fine in this case. The sunlight was piercingly hot, my head grew faint for a moment. Had the heat been this harsh for the entire day? A moment of dull thoughts like this was a moment of carelessness. I gave myself a couple hits in the head, then looked around warily. Okay. Next, how to dispose of the corpse? He's thinking of all of this now, right? What is he gonna do? How to do this? How to do that? What weapon would I need? Damn, Keiichi. This is insane, honestly. The ultimate way to not create a beginning was to not let the corpse be found. It was even more important than killing him. Thinking of it vaguely, the first thing that came to mind was the swamp. Onigafuchi, the dreadful bottomless swamp revered even now that appeared in the legends of the Onigafuchi village. Yes, the swamp called Onigafuchi was here first, and then the village took its name to become Onigafuchi Village. In other words, the swamp was the origin of Onigafuchi Village. No one, no matter who it was, would float back to the surface of this bottomless swamp. Everyone would be swallowed down into the land of the demons below the earth. That was how the stories went. If I was trying to copy Oyashiro-sama's curse, then I felt that the theory demanded I discard the remains and the weapon into the swamp. But they may have said it's bottomless, but I didn't actually know. And people say large creatures like humans produce a lot of gas when they rot, granting a lot of buoyancy. It was why using fairly heavy objects to hold people down didn't work. Come to think of it, with the curse the year before last, Rika-chan's mom drowned herself in the swamp. I mean, they didn't find the body as well, right? She went to the swamp, right? They said, and then it was that. She was gone. They didn't find the body or anything. And the criminal behind the dismemberment that went missing the year of the first curse too, it was rumored he tried to discard the body in the swamp and actually drowned in it. I never heard of the corpse coming back up or them finding it. Then, shouldn't I choose to discard the corpse there too? I couldn't discard the weapon there. And then, for example, if her uncle came out on a motorcycle and attacked, it would be convenient to get rid of the bike too. I knew that Sadako's uncle generally used a motorcycle for transportation. But as for the corpse, after a lot of worrying, I decided not to discard the corpse in the swamp. The drowning, suicide, and accident were both rumors. Nobody knew if they actually happened, see? There were no lack of false rumors about the drowning suicide anyway, and it was possible the murderer hadn't drowned there and was still on the run. Then meant that no one had ever confirmed the corpse being dropped in there and then not coming back up. Then what would I do with the body then? I thought it might be interesting to go with the first incident, cut him into pieces and hide him, but the preparation and work for dismembering a human body would be difficult given the amount of time I had. With that out of the question, I arrive at the conclusion to go with the more orthodox method of burying the body. Then where would I bury it? It was a question related to where I would kill him. Of course, I wanted to keep my time in proximity to the body at a minimum. With that in mind, I would want to dig the hole to dump the body in beforehand and to make the location of the act, the hole close together. The choice of where to plan the crime that I need to be absolutely careful and thorough with. It had to be somewhere nobody would witness it and a place with hiding places for a sneak attack. I could dig a hole for the body right there. I could go over the possibilities in my head of the various destinations her uncle would head from Sadako's house. I imagine a map of the area in my head and then I find a place that fulfilled those conditions so easily it was almost unbelievable. A bit of a back road that went through the woods. I didn't think her uncle would go deeper into the mountains of, how do you pronounce this, Yaguchi, on a whim. If he was going somewhere, he'd pass through these woods first. And nobody uses back way unless they had something to do at Satako's house or one or two other places. This path was fantastically ideal as few people used it. I would wait for him in these woods. Would an ambush actually be possible? I went into the trees and tried really hiding myself in a few places. It was extremely quiet. My senses could be sharpened here to their maximum amount. I didn't know when he'd come, but I wait right here for Sadako's uncle. I actually had some trouble coming to the decision. The question arose of whether I should somehow call the man out. Was there a risk I'd be taking by luring him here? That man made Satoko do all of the shopping and errands. He seldom left on his own business. He wouldn't leave unless I worked out a plan to force him to, would he? That was the question. Tomorrow was the Watanagashi festival. Would he go out for the festival or would he just stay inside? If he stayed inside, how would I drag him out of his house? That's right. Wouldn't he make Satoko go to that festival? Satoko would go to that festival. Meanwhile, I would call the man. This is the Okonomiya police station. We have the young lady from your house. Could you come and pick her up immediately? It didn't even have to be the police. This is the clinic. The young lady from your house has been injured. Please come and pick her up. Yes, that would work too. If I claimed to be the police or the hospital, told him to come when and then hung up on him, he'd rush there trying to figure out what was going on, wouldn't he? And just the other day, he was visited by a probation officer. He wouldn't suddenly grumble about having to get his niece and not go. It would look like child neglect. The man had no skills. Useful around the house, Satoko his slave was an essential part of his daily life. Conclusion: if he went out to the festival, I would attack him here on his way there or back. If he didn't, I would lure him out by phone. If luring him out by phone was my first step, I needed to be sure Satoko would go to the festival leaving the house. It would be convenient if I could make Mion take Satoko to the festival. She said her aunt was a district welfare officer. In other words, an ally to the probation officer. If I somehow incited Mion to take Satoko to the festival with her, well, being who she was, she'd use the fact and get her there. Satoko should just take a break and have fun at the festival with everyone. She should have a good time, reminisce on her former peaceful days, and when she went home, everything would be over. Yeah, that would be the best outcome. With that decided, I need to dig a hole somewhere in the woods to hide the body, so it wouldn't stand out, so it wouldn't be found. Someplace nobody would see me while I was completely exposed as I buried the corpse. I had wanted it to be close to the scene of the crime, but it naturally grew farther away. Deep in the bottom of the Black Forest, the voices of the Higurashi were the only sounds here, informing me that the people shouldn't indiscreetly set foot in this place.
穴を掘るか。
Digging a hole with so many tree roots, crawling around the ground would be far more difficult than I'd envisioned. I snuck a gardening spade out here in my bag, but that wouldn't be enough. Still, as I looked into various approaches, I managed to find a place I could dig into. Tomorrow, I'd bring a real shovel from the storeroom at home. I'd manage with that. I wondered how big a hole would have to be fit a human all the way into it. I'd probably have to dig pretty down too. But if I was slipshod in these efforts, I'd let a beginning occur. I absolutely couldn't allow that. Use any amount of time you need. I mustn't spare any effort to utterly erase him. I glanced at my wristwatch. It was a little past 6. This is probably all I was going to get done here for today. I really wanted to dig the hole in advance tonight, even if it got dark out, but Mom would be upset if I stayed out that late. It wouldn't be a good time to come off as suspicious of my parents. I needed to go back home and give Mion a call soon. I needed to get her promise Satoko to take her by tonight. After that, today would be done. Then, would it be it though? Was this really everything I could do to prepare for right now? I decided where to kill him. I decided how to do it. I decided, of course, how to dispose of the body. I didn't decide on time, but I would play that by ear. I didn't have a way to decide that. Was that really all? Was this really alright? Have I overlooked anything? Would this really go on how I planned it? After all this worry started welling up one after another, it was only natural I'd be anxious. This would be the first and last big job of my lifetime. I could not allow failure, and I had no experience as this was my first time. I didn't have the know-how, the knack, so it was only natural I'd be anxious. The dark clouds of unease told me doing nothing would be the easiest way. A truly pathetic suggestion this late in the game. I mean, anyone would be very anxious if they want to do this. Have you forgotten how miserable Satoko looked? From the outside, it may have looked like I was resolute, but deep in my heart, my knees were shaking loudly. I mean, of course. I've never actually won a single fight to my satisfaction. Could I really kill someone? Yeah, this is what I want to see. Will he move forward with it? Will he actually do it, right? Like when it's happening, is he gonna swing his metal bat? We're gonna see. I may have been planning an ambush, but my enemy was large and far older than me. And yes, could he actually win? Could he actually do it, right? Like, even if he hit him, could he finish him? He had a scary face and he looked like he was well accustomed to fighting. Could I have... All the pieces before and after the murder were perfectly planned. But was the actual murder the most important part? What unsettled me the most? All my preparations, all my perfectly concealed machinations. If I didn't successfully do it, they amounted to nothing. Damn it. After coming this far, you're pathetic, Keiichi Maibara. If you start to have this kind of second thoughts, your ulterior motives will be obvious. Let's go home and calm your mind. Tomorrow will be a juncture in your life, the likes of which graduation, employment, marriage, childbirth couldn't hold a candle to. A day of murder to kill someone for someone else's sake. With that day behind us, we would take it back again. Those mild, spring-like days we never thought would stop, those safe, peaceful, fun times. I pedaled my bicycle hard to get back home. I felt somehow unsteady, like my body and soul weren't in alignment. A subtle shift between where the tips of my hands and feet were and where I felt them to be. My vision was a little distant and narrow, as if the great barrier I risked my future life on had nothing to do with me. An unreal sensation. How could I put it? Everything was so far away. Fine. Feel your knees permeate you Keiichi Maibara. If that will turn your timidity into meticulousness and allow you to act with greater caution, then it's actually an important emotion to feel. This feeling I had never went away that night. It was the first time I'd be calling Mion's house. Oh, we're gonna call Mion, finally. I searched for her in the phone book the school gave me, then dial a short phone number, the kind unique to remote places. It was around dinner time. She would probably be home. But just as I started to think nobody would respond, someone finally picked up the receiver.
はい、その時です。
あ、夜分遅くにすみません。ミオンか？
どちら様です？
俺だよ、ケイイチだ。
ああ、ケイちゃんか。何こんな時間に。
She seemed to be in a weirdly good mood and she'd draw her syllables out. Right? It's the night before tomorrow's festival, so she's probably with her family having some
悪
drinks.
いな、こんな時間に。今、時間は大丈夫か？
何？
サトコのことなんだけど。
I heard her draw in a small breath on the other end.
さとこ、大変なことになっちゃったね。大丈夫かな？
The scent of sake had completely disappeared from her voice.
大丈夫なわけないだろ。
Wait, what? The scent of sake had completely disappeared. Okay.
お前も見ただろ。あれ。
あんな擦り切れるまでにいじめ抜かれて、俺たちはあんなになるまでずっと見捨ててきた。
見捨ててたわけじゃないよ。みんな助けようとして必死に考えてたよ。
でも結局何も思いつかなかったし、サトコを救えたわけじゃないだろ。結局あんなになるまで俺たちは何もできなかった。
そうだね。
Hmm.
私
私は結局見てただけかも。
だからさ、せめて一夜くらい遊ばせてやろうじゃないか。
え？遊ばせるって？
あいつもいろいろと参ってるのわかるだろう。だからさ、明日の綿流しのお祭りにあいつを連れて行ってやってほしいんだ。
それは構わないけど。どうして？
どうしてって、せめて祭りの夜くらい息抜きさせてやりたいじゃないか。たとえ一夜でもあの意地悪なおじの元から離れられるなら、短い時間でもきっと聡子は喜ぶ。
だからどうして？
どうしてって何がだよ。
I was having a little difficulty understanding what Mion was asking
ど
me.
うして？ケイちゃんが連れて行ってあげないの？私に頼まなきゃならないの？
Mion was persistent about odd things. No, maybe it'd be better to say that she was sharp.
俺、実はちょっと明日は用事があってさ、祭りには行けない。だから聡子、ミオンが連れて行ってやってほしい。
Okay.
用事って？
大した用事じゃないんだ。多分すぐに片付くと思うけど、ひょっとすると明日は合流できないかもしれない。
The gasp of Mion, though.
なあ、ミオン。明日の夜だけ、聡子を頼めないか。
Will Mion kind of realize like what Keiichi's gonna do? Mion took a long time to give her a reply. I got the feeling that Mion had been acting weird for a while now. Like she was flustered by emotions or something.
いや、
I said no. Huh? Was that a sob? Mion? Are you crying?
私嫌だって言ったじゃない。私なんかに押し付けられても困るって。
別に押し付けるつもりなんかないよ。明日の夜だけでいいんだ。
嘘だったじゃない。
Wait, what? Mion, was she... What was she talking
綿
about?
流しの夜だけって言って結局ずっとだった。
Huh?
嘘つき。
Wait, saying it's just for the night of Tatarigoroshi and then it was forever. Liar.
でもおあいこかな。
Actually, I don't understand what's happening.
私全然あなたとの約束守ってないから。あの子はずっとほったらかしだしね。
I had no idea what to say to that. Mion was clearly not talking to someone other than me. I didn't know who. All I could do was listen to her in
あ
daze.
れからずっと帰ってこないのに、あの子のことをもう一度押し付けるためだけにまた電話をしてきたんですね。
Okay, I understand now. I guess she's thinking about Satoshi, right? And then I guess Satoshi said something like this as well. For example, last year, right? And then he never returned. He went missing, right? So I guess Mion is remembering that, and now he's like talking to Satoshi.
本当にずるい人。ねえ、あなたサトシ君なんでしょう。
See, you said Satoshi-kun.
ミオン、さっきから何の話だ。
And when I said her name, whatever spell was on Mion was released.
ごめん、なんでもないの。ちょっとケイちゃんの今の電話にそっくりな電話を昔受けたことがあって。
それ、 ひょっとしてサトシか。
Mion didn't answer. All I could hear were sobs coming from through the receiver.
ごめんね。ちょっと私寝ぼけてるみたい。変なとこで感情的になっちゃった。ごめんね。焦ったでしょ。
I had no idea how it had happened, but I was pretty sure that last year on this very day, Satoshi had called Mion and told her to bring Satoko to the festival. And when she asked why he needed her to do it, he replied the same way I just did.
サトシ、祭りに行かなかったんだな。
うん。用事があるから自分は行けないって言って。代わりに私にサトコを祭りに連れて行ってくれって。
その時、サトシも言ったんだな。サトコを頼むって。
うん。言ったよ。明日の夜だけ頼むってね。ケイちゃんの言い方があまりにもよく似てたんで。
There are always like connections between Satoshi and Keiichi. I mean, the way they act, right? In chapter 1, Rena and... Was it Rena only? Right? She said that what Keiichi was doing, like swinging the bat all the time, right? Satoshi was doing as well, right? And now here, what Keiichi was saying to Mion to take care of Satoko for that night is what Satoshi also said. So basically, yeah, they're pretty much connections to both of them. Even though we don't see Satoshi.
ちょっと思い出して取り乱しちゃった。
I didn't expect this. Satoshi had given her the exact same phone call 1 year ago today. After that, Mion had said more. That he was lying. That he told her it would be only for the night of the festival.
そうだったな。サトシはその数日後に消えた。
Disappeared might have been a rather vague way to put it. Whether he ran away or not, Satoshi left, abandoning Satoko.
そう。天候でもなく、家出でもなく、消えたの。
And then an idea far more indistinct than even fog crossed my mind. Satoshi made exactly the same phone call as me last year. Why would Satoshi make the exact same call if in the truest sense he really made the exact same phone call as I am right now? Then the incident where their aunt was beaten to death. That's... could it...
サトシだ。
え？何が？
Last year, Satoko had been constantly abused by her uncle's wife, their aunt too. Her aunt abused her the most, and on that night, in the name of Oyashiro-sama's curse, she was taken from this world. If I thought about that, everything made perfect sense, didn't it?
去年、サトコのおばが殴り殺されたじゃないか。あれ、サトシってことは考えられないか。
No, but that would mean... But then Satoshi was a coward who abandoned Satoko and ran away, wasn't he? How could Satoshi resolve himself to kill a person to save Satoko? It was unthinkable.
私も実はそれを疑ったことがある。サトシには悪いけど。
A few days later, he disappeared. On Satoko's birthday. When I first heard it, I flew into a rage. What a cruel day to have her run away on. But now that I thought about it like this, the story changed completely. Satoshi had probably been even less calm than I was now. He was her big brother, related by blood, watching his little sister be abused a day in and day out. Maybe that's why he couldn't keep calm. And that's why the corpse of their aunt, beaten to death, was so easily discovered. Satoshi lost himself in his anger and hadn't hidden the corpse. He had permitted a beginning to occur. If the police conducted a full-blown investigation, it was easy to imagine they wouldn't take long to pin down Satoshi as the culprit. Satoshi, he wished for a return to peaceful days with Satoko, and though he achieved it for a time, he had been steadily driven into a corner. And then he wanted to at least hold out until Satoko's birthday, but finally they nailed him. At the time, Satoshi had been carrying the savings he'd amassed to buy Satoko a giant stuffed animal for a birthday present. He would buy the stuffed animal as her gift and then get caught. Or he could use the money and disappear. That was a choice he had been forced to make. And he decided not to make Satoko the sister of a murderer. If that was the case, then it must have been an unspeakably bitter decision. All that money he'd saved wanting to see Satoko happy, he had to use it to make her sad. And he used that savings and disappeared to Tokyo if the rumors were true.
サトシはそれで消えたのか。
それはわからない。大石なんかはそう思ってるみたいだけどね。
Oishi? Had he been slowly driven into a corner by that repulsive man's pig-headed pursuit?
確かに状況証拠は揃ってるけど、多分ケイちゃんの推理は外れだと思う。県内のどっかで捕まったろくでなしが犯行を自供したっていうし。
That was right. The deviant had confessed and the incident was solved.
そいつは本当にただの異常者で、ひなみ沢とは何の縁もない男だったって。もちろんサトシとも何の関係もない。だからそんな奴がサトシの身代わりになって嘘をついてくれたなんて到底思えないし。
You couldn't just arbitrarily decide like that. You never know where or how humans are tied together. If that guy took the blame, then it was a perfect crime. Of course, if it was really a perfect crime, there would have been no reason for Satoshi to vanish.
それにサトシには逃亡資金なんてなかったと思う。サトシが預金を下ろした日、これは誰に言っても信じてくれないんだけど、サトコのために買うと言ってたぬいぐるみが売れてショーケースからなくなってたの。きっとサトシが買ったに違いない。
So he bought it though.
ちょっと待てよ。逃走資金に使わないでぬいぐるみを買うために使ったならサトコのところへ帰るはずだろ。ぬいぐるみを買ってそれを届けもせずに蒸発するなんて考えられない。
うん。だからわからなくなっちゃうんだよ。まとまったお金があるならともかく、貯金を全部使っちゃったならサトシは無一文。お金もなく逃亡生活ができるほど世の中は甘くないよ。
I didn't get it. After all that, I was understanding Satoshi less and less. The two of us fell silent. I couldn't remember how we even got on this topic.
ごめん。どこで話が脱線しちゃったんだか。サトコの件ね、安心していいよ。実はもうちゃんと誘ってあるんだよ。
Okay.
え、本当かよ。
祭りの準備でみんなで神社に行った時さ、サトコを祭りに呼ぼうって話になったんだよ。それで集会所の電話でそのまま電話して誘ったんだ。おじのやつよそよそしくて勝手にしろみたいな感じだったけど、とりあえず OK はしてくれた。明日みんなで待ち合わせしていくことになってるんだよ。安心した？サトシ。
バカ、俺はサトシじゃないって。
I was a little relieved. I hadn't needed to make the phone call. Satoko had already been invited to the festival. And not in a way that smelled of blood, a way to leave her uncle alone to create time for me to kill him. They purely wanted Satoko to enjoy herself, so they invited her. In the end, it was the same, but I was happy for the slight difference.
すまないな。俺が電話をするまでもなかった。昨日にしろ今日にしろ 変な話ばかりしてすまないな。忘れてくれ。
こっちこそ本当に申し訳ない。柄にもなく取り乱しちゃって本当にごめん。
We apologize to each other for a little bit.
じゃあ俺はこれで失礼するな。おやすみ。
Oyasumi.
何の用事？
As if interrupting or parting words, Mion struck straight where it hurt.
それもまたサトシと同じように言えない？
バカ。だから俺はサトシじゃないって言ってるだろ。
うん、そんなのは分かってるよ。
I deflected her with a response that wasn't really an answer. Mion didn't hound me anymore after
じゃ
that.
あ今度こそおやすみな。
どうしてケイちゃんがサトシ君と全く同じ電話をしてきたのかわからないけれど、なんでもない。ごめんね。
切るぞ。
Click. Satoshi Hojo, just who are you? I scorned you as a coward who ran away, abandoning your sister. I always thought you didn't have the right to call yourself her Nini. But now I didn't know what to think. Oyashiro-sama's curse on the 4th year, their aunt's death, and Satoshi's disappearance. And now, me trying to carry out Oyashiro-sama's curse on the 5th. Oddly enough, what I was going to do, I overlapped perfectly with Satoshi the day before the curse. No, that wasn't all. If you start back from Satoko being abused, then I'd been overlapped with Satoshi for days already. When I talked to Mion before, she asked me if I was Satoshi. If that was the first impression a third party like Mion got, then it was probably true. Then as Satoshi had accomplished, I would succeed in the murder. But that was the extent to which we overlapped. I was far calmer than Satoshi and more calculating. I could actually grow calmer the more enthusiastic I became. That's why I wouldn't follow in Satoshi's footsteps. I would snip him cleanly out of the world and then get our peaceful life back. Maybe Satoshi has been with me ever since I chose to use Satoshi's bat as my weapon. No, maybe even longer than that. When I decided to be her Nini, maybe Satoshi had been residing within me too. Satoshi, were you really a coward? Or are you a true Nini even now, the kind worthy of Sadako's love? I'd never met him, never spoken to him, didn't even know his face, and yet I felt so connected to him. I'd never felt that way before. Okay. Honestly, that was a nice phone call with me in there. Yeah. For some reason. Because yeah, we learned as well a lot about Satoshi, and I kind of said this like in the earlier episode that maybe Satoshi was the one, right? Who did their aunt in? And then yeah, they mentioned that it was a drug addict, right? But I guess it's him. But yeah, more mysteries, I suppose. Okay, another book for the attention of those on the housefly slaughter incident case. 1982, Okonomiya Police Station, 1st Investigative Division, Chief Takasugi, Prefecture Police Headquarters for the Eradication of Drug-Related Crime. Shishibone Branch Head, regarding incident designated as Undercover Investigation. This message is to inform you that a section of the testimony records of an incident under the police headquarters jurisdiction has been found that is thought to be related to the undercover investigation of the incident in question, Okonomiya Police Station X, in the Mizawa Village housewife slaughter incident. During investigation of suspect who was arrested for possession of illegal drugs, there was a testimony alluding to the crime in question, and it became clear that it contained information that only the perpetrator could have known. Therefore, we are prepared to share this record of testimony with you. Duplicate attached. If this testimonial is to be believed, then there is an extremely high chance that suspect blank was the perpetrator in the incident in question. In addition, on receiving this testimony, the head investigator on this case inquired as to the incident with the Okonomiya police station. But the responsible party at the Okonomiya police station misunderstood, and in compliance with the designation as an undercover investigation by executive order from the prefectural police headquarters on July 1, 1982, General Administration B1/12. They did not explain the incident's existence to the head investigator as they should have. Because of this, the head investigator did not realize the importance of the testimony as it related to the case in question. And as the result, was negligent when combing the scene. We apologize for having effectively ignored it until now. In addition, there is a postscript stating that suspect blank died while in confinement yesterday. Okay. So the drug addict died, I suppose? But yeah, this episode was first half. Keiichi is planning, like all the stuff he's gonna do, right? He's preparing, right? But I guess we're gonna see this next episode. He's gonna do this next episode, right? Because it's the Tatarigoroshi festival already, right? But yeah, I think he can do it though. I think he will do it because of all the planning and stuff. He's gonna go forward with it, and yeah, let's see if it's gonna be easy or not, right? And that phone call with Mion, as I said earlier, very nice conversation between the both of them, right? It was really good. I liked it. So yeah, we're gonna continue this and do more of Higurashi When They Cry Chapter 3 Tatarigoroshi in the next one. So I'll just see you then, guys. Bye bye.